Hi, my name is Jerry, and today we're going to talk about the moon cycle, aka the menstrual cycle. So, this is going to be part of my mini series, and this mini series is going to be about little segments of energy healing. And the moon cycle is actually part of the energy healing experience because as a woman, you are on a cycle of hormones, which are chemical energy that affect how you feel, how you think, what you say, what you eat. It really dictates pretty much all of you. So it's really important to know more about our moon cycle or our menstrual cycle. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, we're going to talk about the more of the physical and do an overview of what our cycle is and the phases that we go through. And then we will kind of get into a little bit about the hormones, and then we'll get into the lunar archetypes, and then we'll overlay all of this information all in one. So it's going to be a lot of information, but it's going to be worth it. Okay, so the average menstrual cycle is defined by day one of bleeding, and it can last anywhere from 21 to 45 days, with the average cycle being 28-day cycle. That's why we call it the moon cycle, because it's the lunar cycle is 28 days. However, it can fluctuate depending on the woman, and this happens until menopause or until bleeding stops. There are four phases. There's the menstruation phase, which is days 1 through 7. There's the follicular phase, which is days 6 through 14. There's the ovulation phase, that is days 10 through 16. And then there's the luteal phase, which is days 15 through 45. Again, on average being 28 days, because 45 days is a little bit longer than what you see on average. However, I did want to open it up because I know a lot of people do not bleed within that 28-day cycle. So this has been opened up to just kind of accommodate for everybody. Ovulation occurs around day 10 to 16, with the average being on the 14th. And then you ovulate from the one side and then the other. So it could be the left side, then the right side, or the right side, then the left side. And even when you are no longer having your cycle, your hormones will still impact you monthly. So this information is still pertinent to you. Okay, so a brief overview of the menstruation cycle. Let me just move this up a little bit. Okay, so days 1 through 7, a few follicles grow with an immature egg at the center of the follicle. Estrogen begins to secrete into the bloodstream and prepare the uterus for pregnancy. Around day 7, only one follicle will continue to grow and the others will degenerate and scar. Day 12, large amount of estrogen actually floods the bloodstream. This aids the female reproductive organ and cells mature and grow. Day 14, the hypothalamus detects a high rise in the estrogen and releases its own hormone, signaling to the pituitary gland to release the follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, and the luteinizin hormone, LH, which triggers your testosterone production. As a result, the follicle comes out of the ovary. The fallopian tubes actually move in a little bit closer to catch that once it's released. And meanwhile, the cell is actually burst out of the ovary and it's literally floating in midair until that fallopian tube can kind of scoop it up and take it in. So this is my crude drawing of what is going on. And again, like I always say, like, how witchy is that, right? Like our bodies, like it's just floating in midair until our bodies catch it. It's so crazy what our bodies can do. And then day 21 through 45, you have an increase in progesterone hormone, which is produced by the pituitary gland, which is part of the endocrine system. And this prepares your breast and uterus for fertilization. Okay, so let's keep going. The moon cycle, modern science. So this is the modern science, the physical view. So I wanted to this is actually exactly the information that we just covered, but I wanted to show you how we're going to do this on more of like a round pie chart kind of view. So we're going to start here. So days 1 through 7, the menstrual cycle begins. So this is bleeding begins. And then we have the follicular phase, which is days 6 through 14. And then we have the ovulation phase, which is days 10 through 16. And then we have the luteal phase 17 through 45. And again, you can read through this, but it's basically all the same information we just covered. Okay, so the moon archetypes. Hey, so welcome to the course, my daughter Veda. She is in one of those new moods where she doesn't want to be put down, and if you put her down, she's a little upset. And so I haven't gotten to a lot of videos. So we're not going to let that stop us, and she is just going to be part of the video now. Okay, so let's move on. So moon cycle archetypes. We have four main archetypes when it comes to the lunar cycle. So there's the maiden, the mother, the enchantress, or the wild woman. It's kind of referred to differently throughout how you wanted to teach it. It's really more what you resonate with. And then the last one, it's referred to by so many names. So you can call it the witch, the crone, the wise woman, really, honestly, whatever you identify with. And yeah, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So the moon cycle archetypes, you have a maiden. And I know that we normally will start with days 1 through 7, but we're going to start with a maiden and build our way up until we hit the menstrual cycle. So days 6 through 14 is when you're in the lunar archetype of the maiden. This is pre-ovulation. So you're going to be full of energy, feeling young, very creative, ready to take on new projects. This is really time when you want to socialize. It's symbolized by the waxing moon, incoming tide, spring, element of fire, and east. The mother is days 14 through 21. This is when you see ovulation. You are mature and developed as far as your energies are concerned. You're expansive and ready to help others. You're creative. So, a lot of times we forget the ovulation. We are creators, right? So, we create again with ourselves, like, right? I created her. So, this is kind of the mother aspect of being super creative and being able to create life itself, symbolized by the full moon, full tide, summer, element of water, and the enchantress or wild woman. So this is days 22 through 45. So these times you're in touch with more of your inner world. So your inner feelings, what's going on. You may be more sensitive, both psychically or even just again being able to sense what's going on within your own body. You're intuitive for yourself and others. And this is really time to focus on intention for the next 30 days. This is the metaphorical death and rebirth that's occurring, right? Because we are about to shed out that blood lining, or we are about to create life. So so rebirth again would be a birthing cycle, or for us it would, if for you, if you are not pregnant, it would be rebirthing of the actual uterus itself by shedding the blood lining. It's symbolized by the waning moon, outgoing tide, autumn, element of fire, and west. The witch, crone, and wise woman. Now, this is days 1 through 7. So, this is your menstrual cycle itself. So, this is what ready for inward reflection. You're really wanting to hibernate during this time. It's not really time to give to others, but really to tend to the self. And it's symbolized by the new moon, low tide, winter, earth, and north. Okay, so let's look at the moon cycle archetypes. Okay, so again, I just want to show you what this overlay is going to be before we put all of the information all into one. So we're going to start here. The witch, this is days 1 through 7. This is the menstrual cycle. Again, we already kind of went through the energies. Then we have the maiden, days 6 through 16. And then we have the mother, day 14 through 21. And then we have the enchantress or wild woman, which is days 22 through 40. Okay, here's the big chart. Now, this seems like a lot of information, but I'm telling you, we're going to walk through it and it's going to make a lot of sense. And this will really start to help you with your lunar cycle. So on the little cardinal points that we have here, so we have our north point here. This is day 1 of moon cycle. So it's going to, again, go through the information that we went through. It's not necessarily like you have to know it for this. I just put it there for those who want to do additional studies, because once you do actually start tracking your moon cycle, you'll find out like either you're a new moon bleeder, or maybe you bleed on the full moon, and you can start to overlay that information and get even more details about your cycle and what it means to you from an energetic perspective. But let's go through this chart. Okay, so this is day 1. We're going to start here. Bleeding begins. So this is the witch the menstruation cycle phase, and this is dedicated to rest. Okay, so from a mental health perspective, this is hibernation, this is inward reflection if you can. I know that we can't always afford that, but do it as much as you possibly can. Even if you are working in an office, just take some time during your day to be low key. If you're normally high energy, these are the days it's okay to be a little less energy in the office. People will understand. Physical health, fatigue, cramps, PMS. The follicle is growing, the low estrogen. So you're going to start getting low estrogen symptoms. Your estrogen is going to start building during this time, but in the very beginning, you're going to feel like the low estrogen because you're just coming off of the high progesterone. So you want to do gentle exercise, eat less fats and less sugar. I know we have been taught the opposite, but this is it's a misnomer to eat tons of sugar and fats during your period. You actually want to take really good care of yourself, and too much sugar can actually affect the gut and it can affect your mental health. So do watch how much fat and sugar you're eating on your period. So energy health. Okay, so focus on the self, right? Focus on yourself. This is time for sacral and root chakra healing and really put projects on hold. Don't do anything that's like brand new. Maybe just kind of fix the things that you needed to get done. And again, right now, if you're like, oh, I don't, I'm not going to be able to put projects on hold. I'm not going to be able to do this. Once you get really good at doing your cycle, you can actually, I have a project management background, so you can actually start to like look at your month and manage your products or your projects based on your lunar cycle to make you more successful in business, to make you more successful in just life in general, right? Because if we're always fighting the energies, like if we're supposed to be low energy and resting, and then we take on high like intensity projects, we're probably not going to be very successful at it because we're going to get very overwhelmed because our body really needs rest during this time. So again, it's really great what you can start doing. So also the psychic and healing abilities really increase during this time. So if you are a healer, you have a lot more healing abilities. And again, if you are psychic, you are going to be more psychically in tuned. On days 3 through 5, the estrogen is going to begin to build. And then we're going to look here on day 7. So this is where our 1 through 7 ends, this little slice of the pie. And this is when estrogen is building. We are now in the season of spring. The moon is a waxing moon, and the cardinal direction is east. So, for a mental health perspective, okay, this part of the pie right here, this is the maiden phase, the follicular phase. This is a very active phase during our menstrual cycle, okay, because we're feeling young and vibrant. And so, right, let's go right into the mental health. So, feeling vibrant and full of life, social and ready to mingle, problem solving. Also, if you want to try something during this time, take a look at your skin. So you'll notice during all of these phases that your skin is going to show either like during the witch phase, I'll notice I'll have like a lot of wrinkles and maybe a lot of dryness in my face. And it indicates that I haven't had enough water or taken care of myself. Because if that's what I look like at the end of the cycle when I'm not feeling my best, that's because it's a result of what I've done. So take a look at your skin during the maiden phase. It's amazing. I love how like fresh and awesome my skin looks during this phase. It's a great time to really start doing photo shoots and really showing off your best self, socializing, really getting out there and mingling. So, from a physical health perspective, this is pre ovulation. One follicle grows, the reproductive organs are growing and maturing as part of your general cycle. So, energy health, you're active, you're creative, you're able to take on challenges and new projects. And oh, relationships. I love that I put this here. So, when we are low estrogen, we don't tend to have the full brain capacity. We get a lot of brain fog. We get brain fog with too much estrogen and too little estrogen, right? We don't have that mental balance, was what we're looking for. And so, you have that a lot right here. So this is a great time if you have something challenging to discuss with your partner or with somebody that you have a relationship with, maybe it's family. This is a good time to do that, okay? All right, so we're like at days 10 through 14 of the moon cycle. The estrogen is flooding. The season is summer. The moon is a full moon and the cardinal direction is south. And we're coming over here to this piece of the pie, which is the mother, the ovulation phase. This is kind of a transition between active and rest. This is really, mothers have to learn to balance a lot, clearly. So, this is a time that you're really kind of learning how to balance both your action and your rest. So, from a mental health perspective, you are expansive, you are maternal, you're mature and developed, you're available to self and others. From a physical health perspective, you are ovulating. Your testosterone is up, which means that your orgasm frequency, availability, and intensity is increased because testosterone helps women. This is like, again, this is why it's happening during your ovulation because women actually crave sex during their ovulation due to the testosterone that has risen in your body. Okay, so this is happening. And then growth spurts in the cell, the tube moves closer, and then the egg bursts out. So that's what's happening on the physical health perspective. From an energy health perspective, you're full of emotions. You're a mix of going from active into rest. So there's a lot of, maintenance and balancing going on. Days 21 through 22. So again, we're right here at this part of the pie. The progesterone is starting to build. Your season is autumn. Your moon is a waning moon, and your cardinal direction is west. So we come up here to this piece of the pie. This is the enchantress or the wild woman, the luteal phase. And again, we're starting to get into a little bit more rest again. So, mental health, you're sensitive and intuitive. You're in touch with your inner world. From a physical health perspective, you may have started getting PMS symptoms. So, bloating, tired, tender breasts, cramping, any of those types of things. Your progesterone's going to start building. And so, it's time for a more healthy fats. Okay. So, lots of avocado, lots of healthy fats and exercise during this time. Exercise releases endorphins, and that is going to help you with the pain. So, if you're having any kind of pain and bloatingness, right, that's all going to help. So, get some healthy fats and exercise. And again, the egg is either fertilized or unfertilized at this point. So it's going to dictate if your next phase is going to kick off and you're going to start your period, or if you're going to start a whole new phase, which would be pregnancy. Okay. So the energy health during this phase is you're intuitive to yourself and others, and you focus on the intention of setting for a new cycle. So again, look at your skin. How well did you take care of yourself? If you're super dehydrated, maybe you didn't drink enough water. If your skin is super oily, maybe you ate too much fats, or maybe you just didn't have a good balance of your diet. These are all good things to look at when you're setting that new intention for the cycle of figuring out how you can live your best well self while using the lunar cycle or the menstrual cycle. Okay. Yeah, and this is actually just the chart that I drew because I drew it like on one of these big charts. So some people actually prefer to look at this one. If you like this, feel free. You can take, I can send you a direct picture as well if you really like this. It's just the exact same thing that we went over, except for I just wrote it down. And then I did put right here, days 28 through 32. This is really preparing for pregnancy or the moon cycles. Tips on keeping healthy during your cycle. So again, I cannot stress this enough, eat whole foods. Everything that we eat, and when I say I'm going to say consume. So when I say consume, it's not only just your diet, but it's also like what you listen to, your music, it's your environment. Do you have a lot of chemicals in your environment? Do you have a lot of things that are going to disrupt your hormones in your environment? So really consume whole things, specifically to this bullet point, eat whole foods. So I talk about organic. You can do the clean 15 or the dirty dozen. You don't necessarily always have to do organic, although I do recommend organic because there are heavy metals in the non-organic, which can affect your endocrine system and also your nervous system, which is your brain, your spinal cord, and your nerves. So it's very important for me to try to eat as organic as I possibly can. Of course, sometimes you can't always, but as often as you can, try to eat as healthy as you can. Also, try to get meats and things, dairies, eggs, hormone free, antibiotic free. I also like to try to get where they have sun time, yard time. The reason I do this is because, again, they're being exposed to the sun, so they're getting all of the benefits of the vitamin D and the sun rays. Also, if they are out there, they're out in the ground, they're being grounded. And I do think it's important how your meat or your dairy has been treated before consuming it, because you are consuming their hormones. So if they had a lot of fear before they died, then you may be consuming a lot of fear in your product. So I like to be very selective with what I purchase. Again, if you're not able to be selective, that is totally fine. Try to just eat as healthy as you possibly can. And when you do not have access to clean food, I'll do a tutorial on how to bless your food and how to really increase the vibration of your food using energy healing. Exercise regularly. This is really important to keeping a healthy cycle. Take time for yourself, even if it's 10 minutes daily. So do a daily energy routine, do a spiritual routine, meditate, do mindfulness, garden, dance, walk for 10 minutes, do anything that really makes you happy and do it daily. Because again, every time that you're happy, you are creating happy hormones and you are eliminating stress hormones. Okay. Set a routine geared towards health and growth so you can have a lot of creativity, creative, just be creative with it, right? Be curious, be creative. How can you do everyday health and growth? Okay. It's really, really fun. I mean, honestly, I've actually done a practice where I've done mindfulness with my dishes, right? I have to do the dishes anyways. Why not even just make it a growth practice? So each cycle is an opportunity to set your intention or goal for the next cycle, even if you don't have one. So, I mean, even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you can use the lunar cycle each month to actually set an intention or goal for yourself, because it's on the 28 rolling day cycle. So it gives you 30 days approximately to hit your goals. And then adopt a gratefulness practice. I cannot stress this enough. Gratefulness is really important, again, so you can kind of get yourself out of that feeling of lack or victim mentality and start to see all the wonderful, amazing things that you have in your life. And once you start doing that, you start actually producing happy hormones instead of stress hormones. Also, one last thing I want to leave you with is that the liver processes hormones and it's the key to women's health. So, really watch your alcohol and your processed food consumption, because if we're bogging down the liver, and there's one thing that I've recently read, there's an uptick in non-fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the reason that this is happening is because our hormones are being thrown off by everything in our environment and our food and pretty much everything, cosmetics and our clothes. And this causes a lot of extra hormones to have to be processed. And essentially, that can bog down the liver. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sticking around. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them to me. You can go to my website at www.energeticturtle.org, where you can actually message me, or you can message me on Instagram, or put a comment in YouTube. If you had any questions or if something really resonated with you, feel free to comment about it. And okay, we got to go. But all right. Thank you so much.